Hey there, Brad Castor from GreatOptionTradingStrategies.com. So I wanted to put together a quick video on the trades that have really been working well for us of late inside the Leveraged Investing Club. I'm not tooting my own horn here, but it really feels like we've been firing on all cylinders the last several weeks. And in fact, over the last couple of weeks, we've closed 4 more official club trades as booked winners. That brings the 2026 year-to-date total to 31 booked winners against 0 booked losses. And in 2025, all 46 official club trades we closed were profitable. I've added links to our 2025-2026 trading history in the description section if you want to check that out. As I said, it really feels like we've been firing on all cylinders the last several weeks, and I can tell you exactly why. It's because inside the club, we've adapted to selling puts and covered calls for income on higher implied volatility, growthier, AI-ish stocks. But stick with me here because we're selling options on these stocks probably differently than you might think. And before we get into that, here are the 10 last option selling trades we've closed. And as you can see, these are stocks that can move around quite a bit. Now, I know all of the above are short put positions or put selling trades, but the same trades could have been structured as covered calls for those who prefer that structure. If you're not sure why, I've added links in the description section to these deep dive videos that drill down and demonstrate how cash secured puts and covered calls are 98% the same trade. So what happened to our old value investing with options philosophy? In the club's 14 plus year history, we've largely focused on selling puts and covered calls on high quality stocks when they're at attractive valuations and once they give us a nice technical setup. But in the current market environment, and really over the last couple of years, value-oriented stocks have been a minefield to trade and invest in. Sure, some of these stocks have come back in recent months, but it was also crazy how cheaply some of them traded even as typically low PE stocks like Micron became trillion-dollar companies. I swear Micron is the poster child for me for there's something wrong with this picture and this time it's different. And yes, Micron really should be worth more than $1 trillion. But on the value front, Charter Communications is a great example. We've covered our club trade on Charter a lot in the Daily Tips newsletter, as it's also a Leveraged Investing Club open house trade, or a trade that I share in real time with Daily Tips readers. And speaking of which, if you'd like free access to the occasional club trade, the research, the write-up, the real-time alerts when I enter, exit, or adjust one of these trades, and then some analysis after the fact, be sure you're signed up for the Daily Tips newsletter. I've also added more information and links in the description section regarding these open house trades, including a 12-page case study on a 65-day open house trade on T Rowe we did earlier this year that generated a nice little 20.06% annualized ROI for us. Now, regarding Charter, sure, in some ways it's a horrible business with some very big headwinds, but it's also a massive cash flow machine with an aggressive stock buyback program. And it traded so low a couple months back that the forward PE was less than 3. Yes, less than 3 times forward earnings. Still, our Charter trade hasn't been that difficult to manage and repair given the elevated implied volatility levels of its options. The club position is actually set to expire at the end of this upcoming week, and at this point is poised to deliver pretty attractive 17% annualized returns over a 3 to 4 month period, which just goes to show you how wrong you can be selling options and still make good to very good returns. Also in the description section is a link to the channel's option selling trade repair playlist. And at the end of the day, it's trade repair that's the real reason why we have such a high winning percentage. Now, some of our other value-oriented trades have taken longer to repair. For example, we currently have open trades inside the club on PayPal, Boston Scientific, and Fiserv. Although I have no doubt that we're going to make money on all of these trades as well, and likely still for double-digit annualized returns. Case in point, 72 of the 77 trades we've closed since January 2025, or 93.51%, have generated either double-digit or triple-digit annualized returns. Now, regarding the whole option selling from a value investing perspective, at the same time, you have to be able to read the room, as it were, when it comes to the stock market. And the current market environment is definitely not some post-great financial crisis value investing golden era circa 2009 to 2012. That was a fantastic time to sell puts and covered calls for income on consumer staples, healthcare, classic dividend growth stocks, and other defensive stocks. No, that period is in the rear view mirror big time. In contrast, where we are in the vast multi-decade secular bull market, secular bear market cycle right now is fully entrenched in casino land with a whole new generation of aggressive traders with virtually no attention span. In my last video, we explored how that's a double-edged sword. On the one hand, the more maniacs there are in the stock market, including the professional class, not just retail, the more dangerous the stock market becomes. But on the other hand, the more idiots there are out there, the easier it is to find special situation opportunities to transfer market returns from their account to yours. So, does that mean we've become casino addicts and aggressive traders too? Hell no. As I've discussed in previous Daily Tips issues, the opportunity I've been seeing in the current market environment is in selling far out of the money puts on high implied volatility stocks and keeping durations shorter than we normally would. The most extreme example has been on Bloom Energy, which we successfully traded 3 times now. The implied volatility levels were so high on Bloom Energy that in all 3 instances we sold puts at strikes so far out of the money, the stock essentially would have had to lose half its value before the trade would get into trouble. Sure, we could have made a lot more money going with higher strikes, but at the risk of complications and the need for trade repairs. It's crazy but true. Sometimes options get so expensive you can sell virtually risk-free contracts and still generate market-beating returns on an annualized basis. In other words, super high implied volatility levels can translate to super conservative setups that can still bring in very attractive high-yield income. And no, none of these trades cross an earnings release. Just to be clear though, we're still disciplined and still looking for good technical setups before we enter any of these trades. But when we do enter them, we can do so very conservatively. And again, we keep the durations pretty short. Now, don't get me wrong, this is still a challenging market environment. Also, as you can see in the list of recently closed trades, Palantir has been pretty well represented. We've actually traded Palantir 6 times this year and once last December. Yes, the stock finally blasted out of its funk following the most recent earnings release, but if you've been following the stock, 2026 had been a pretty rough year for Palantir. And yet, we've had no trouble selling options on it for easy, no drama, high yield returns. And again, the keys have been short durations, waiting for good technical setups, and then conservative strike price entries. Okay, if you enjoyed this and want more option selling resources, be sure to check out the channel's other videos and playlists and subscribe. I've got a backlog of other videos in the works. Also, sign up for the Daily Tips newsletter via the pinned comment below. The newsletter is a tremendous option selling resource and really complements the YouTube channel, as some topics are better suited in article format and some are better suited in video format. Both resources are all about heads you win, tails Mr. Market loses, so the newsletter is a resource you're going to want. There are other important perks of being a Daily Tip subscriber. I occasionally share an official club trade in real time. I routinely help subscribers with their own personal trades, and I periodically send out what I call secret seminars where we really drill down on some specific aspect of option trading. And yes, all of this is free. You can sign up directly, or there's also a link in the description section below to the Great Option Trading Strategies downloadable library page. Download anything from there, and you'll also begin receiving the Daily Tips newsletter automatically. Heads we win, tails Mr. Market loses. Let me help you come out ahead on virtually all of your trades. Okay, until next time.